Hey, this is Vu, and today I'm going to show you how Ence managed to take down Astralis' ridiculous nuke win streak and 2-0 them in the finals of Blast Series Madrid. The first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a round Astralis actually wins, so I can show you what they do so well and how they manage to take out so many teams with their strong T side. Then I'm going to go back and show you how Ence dismantles this type of playstyle and how they play so well against Astralis here. So on this round, Astralis is actually on a force, and they're going to create an opening, and that's what they're so good at doing. They're going to go double towards top mini here, and they're going to try and force a kill on either Alu or Ariel here towards outer. Magisk and Zipex are going to work together. They're going to trade onto Ariel there, and they're going to make it a 4v4. But the thing that you're not realizing here, if you're not looking at the radar, is this 4v4 isn't the really relevant part. The really relevant part is the flank coming up from Device. He's already at 133, he's already made his way into the middle of ramp. He's already well on his way to flank towards Hell there, because he's recognized that X7 was gonna rotate towards Hell to support his teammates outer so that they didn't get overwhelmed too easily by a bunch of pistols. And Device fast flanked. No hesitation. He doesn't even have a teammate with him. He went and found that flank, and he's going to be able to win the round essentially based on that. So Magisk is going to end up dying. But by the time he dies, Device is already in Hell, finds the first pick, and notice that the players in lobby are not static here. They're not just hiding, waiting for things to happen. They're getting aggressive as this is happening as well, because they realize that when these picks come out, the upper players need to rotate around. It's likely that Alexa B might drop vents. It's likely that Sergey is going to try and rotate off of his normal position, potentially to top of HUD or somewhere else, and they make their way out trying to catch those players off guard. Again, this is exactly what Astralis does so well. They don't wait for too much teammates to show up. They go individually very often, and they find the openings because they're so confident in their individual play. So what did Astralis do there? They went fast towards mini, top mini, but the most important thing is they caused a rotation, and they recognized exactly that rotation, what it would be and how it would affect the setup, and they weren't afraid to try and push out with a single player to find the information on if that was true and flank when that was true. So Device went straight through ramp and flanked towards Hell quickly because they're assuming or they're expecting that type of rotation and found a pick. At the same time, the lobby players weren't necessarily static. They were waiting until that execute or the flank came out. And as the players upper from Ence started to rotate off and started to rotate around, that's when the players from Astralis side pushed out through hut and managed to find kills of their own. So what Astralis does so well, they force a rotate, and then they have players that aren't scared to try and find if that opening is there, find where the weak spot is, because on Nuke there will generally be a weak spot once you force them to rotate and cover secret and cover ramp. There's too many areas to cover, and Astralis has the individual skill to find those weak spots and win gun duels if they do find a player that's alone or in an unfortunate or, non-advantageous angle. So how does Ence deal with this? We'll go back to round number 4. This is going to be the first gun round of the game. And what Ence does at first is they try and keep Astralis on their toes. They want Astralis to play back. They don't want them to get comfortable and force those rotates out and put Ence in an uncomfortable situation. So Ence here, they actually have a couple of SMGs because they want pistol round, which makes it even better for them to go aggressive and use those SMGs. And a thing to realize about Astralis is actually oftentimes on their very first gun round, and I'm certain that Ence knows this, they really like to work 2 or 3 players towards outer, smoke the cross towards red box, and then play a glaive on top of this box here before doing something else. So this could also be an attempt to deal with that specifically. But in any case, they're going to be going double up push towards ramp, as well as both players in upper, I'm certain, are intending on pushing as well. Plus you have Ariel towards Mini here, and you have a 5-man push on exactly what Astralis is doing, which is a 5-man squeakies. So Astralis kind of runs into exactly what they don't want to play against, get hit by a freight train there and go down 4-0, and it's essentially 5-0 because they're going to lose the anti-eco on the following round as well. But you can see what Ence's goal was there. They tried to find the aggressive play to put Astralis in an uncomfortable situation, and don't let them do what they like to do. Don't let them do what they're comfortable doing, putting you in a rotationary situation and pick you apart. So heading into round number 6 here, and they're going to get aggressive again. This time, again, they're going to go double up towards ramp, but you'll notice this time they have 5 rifles, so they don't necessarily need to do something aggressive, but they want to keep Astralis on their back foot. So this is going to be a double push towards ramp here, and what you'll see is actually this double flash. I just want to highlight that. Ence threw 2 flashes there. That's not a mistake. That's because they're thinking that potentially Zipex hears the first flash, and by hearing it, he turns. And if he's turned from the first flash, he'll spin around and get blinded by the second. And that's the type of thing that, you know, high-level players outplay other high-level players with that type of play. So they're going to make the push happen. They're going to find the entry onto Zipex there. Device was taken down actually towards Squeaky as well, but you're going to notice they're in a 4v3 here, and they don't back off. They recognize that because of the way they pushed in, because they've given up full outside control, they don't know where Astralis could be. For all they know, Glaive could already be towards lower, and obviously Dupree's already on top of Mini, so they don't really want to try and, you know, allow that type of thing to happen. They don't want to go into a 4v3 where Astralis honestly could be at a bit of an advantage in that 3v4 because of the map control that Ence has given up. They want to secure more map control or another kill and put themselves in a better situation, so they're just going to push forward as well, and they're going to find the kill on a Magisk there and make it a 4v2. This is still an uncomfortable situation for them to be in, because as you can see, Dupree's already flanked around behind Heaven, and Glaive is behind Lobby here, but they don't realize that they kind of had bomb control. So for all they know, Dupree and Glaive could be planting the bomb lower at this point. But what they're going to try and do is Dupree and Glaive are going to try and find picks first, and this is what makes it uncomfortable for Ence. There's really nothing they can do to prevent, you know, their first player from getting caught off guard. Then the rotate's going to come around and he's going to get caught off guard as well, and now you have a 2v2 situation to play out. Now, what Ence does is I really like this as well. Ence actually sticks together in the 2v2 here. So instead of splitting up and trying to play one on each bomb site, they know where Dupree is, and they're just going to try and execute on the player where they know where he is. They try and isolate him, they find the pick on him, and then they win the round pretty easily after that. But as you can see, it's easy to lose rounds, even with an advantage, when you've given up some sort of map control, and Astralis knows that better than anybody. So Ence tries to counter this, they try and play against it, and now they're going to be up 6-2. So they did win a following round after the round I showed way at the back, or at the beginning there on pistols, and you're going to see what happens is the change up here. So Ence lost the pistol round where they got executed on outer, and then they lost an upper rush round. So Astralis went straight out squeaky with 4 or 5 players. Now Ence kind of has, you know, a little bit of balls here. They don't change up their setup almost at all. They don't worry about that upper rush more than they need to. What they do is they actually put Alu in Mini to deal with this exact play here from Device. This is something a lot of teams like to do. If they feel like a player is going Mini consistently with a rifle, they'll send in a player with an op, he'll open up squeaky, he'll pop it open and try and find a pick. But fortunately for Ence in this case, Alu's going to be able to find the kill on the Device there. Because he's just at the right place at the right time. They made the perfect call there to deal with that. And that's going to be a 5v4 now for Ence. And it's actually going to be a 5v3 as Ariel's going to be able to find the pick onto Glaive. So Glaive potentially thinking that, you know, oh, the opper's in Mini, it means they have a weakness. Well, they actually don't have a weakness. Ariel's holding that exact angle, and that's going to make this a 5v3 and really should essentially be round over at this point because Astralis doesn't have very much they can actually do. They don't have any map control. Ence is comfortably in their positions, and, you know, things are going pretty easy for them here. So heading into round number 10, Ence is up 7-2. This is the exact following round. You have yet another buy round here from Astralis. Their economy is actually working out very well. Now, what's going to happen in this situation is Astralis is going to go pretty heavily towards outer here, and this is something that Astralis does, somewhat often. But they're getting a bit desperate in this situation, and they're trying to go for full yard control. That's what this smoke here in front of Mini does. It allows them to get full yard control, which makes it a little bit, somewhat awkward for Ence to try and play out. So instead of allowing that to happen, and this is the type of individual brilliance that you're going to see out of Ence, several times in this game, which really does allow them to consistently find these rounds. You're going to need to see these plays. Ariel smokes off and makes them contest hard to try and get this outer yard control. He's going to have support from his teammate towards Hell here. He's spraying them down from right outside Hell. Ariel's going to be able to play around the smoke and try and make sure that nobody can get pushed up on his teammate towards Garage. He doesn't want this wrap to come out, where potentially if he didn't do that, they could come around towards Big Garage and shoot Alu in the side, or kind of double up on him and make him uncomfortable, shoot him from multiple angles. So instead, he's going to make sure that doesn't happen. He's going to make sure that Astralis isn't getting map control for free, and he's going to make them pay to get that map control. Don't let them do what they're comfortable doing, which is, again, getting that map control and finding the weak spots on the map. So even though they're still in a 5v5, there's a lot of information going the way of Ence. They know a lot of players are outer, and instead of allowing Astralis to find the entry to make the play, Alu's going to try and make the play himself. He's going to find the advantage here. He's going to try and find the 5v4, and Magisk is going to walk right into that one. Now Alu's up, put them up 5v4, and you're going to notice that even though they're up 5v4, they're not super comfortable. They feel like they've given up a bit of map control, so Alexa B is still going to be pushing in towards lobby to get information. They don't want a situation where 4 players pop out lobby and pop out towards ramp, kill Alexa B, and immediately drop into lower. They don't want a situation where they're setting up smokes or something, and they want to make sure that a flank comes out if it possibly can. Now, Alexa B is actually going to get killed in this scenario, but you can see the way Ence is playing. You can see the idea behind their play. It's not, completely random. They have a strategy behind it, and they're playing intelligently to try and make this win happen. Now, what happens there, Astralis is kind of trying to make a lower play happen because they feel like a rotate could potentially be coming out to deal with that ramp push, and they're trying to catch that opening. Unfortunately for them, Ence hasn't made that opening yet for them, but that's similar to the type of play that Device made towards ramp. They're expecting a potential rotation in that situation. They're not really expecting someone there the way they peaked it, and when he's there, he manages to find the kill, and this round should really be over for Astralis at this point, because even though Ence only has 4 players, Astralis is kind of stuck in pretty uncomfortable situations, and they're going to try and take down Alu to open up the map a little bit, but just get shut down by Ariel there. Makes it a 4v1, and the round's essentially over by then. So Astralis, had a little bit of a chance there, but they were so injured from earlier on in the round, and because they, got a little bit unlucky, or whatever you want to call it, on the fact that, I guess it's not luck that X7 was in lower waiting for them. He hadn't rotated off. He hadn't gotten kind of spooked that he felt like he had to worry about something coming from behind him. He just held the angle, found the kills, and found the round. So now you're heading into round number 11. Still, Astralis is up on a buy, and what they're going to do is they're going to get Zipnex into vents here, and this is something that Astralis has a ton of success doing. In fact, Ence actually does this on their T side, I believe, as well, because it's such an effective play. You get that player into vents, and you need to, as a CT side here, find a duel with that player. You can't simply let them, survive forever in this situation, because if that happens, what Astralis really wants is a situation where they can just make their way into secret, into lower, and flank around and just get the free bomb plant. So X7 is going to be the man trying to duel. And towards the outer side, Ariel's still here. Now, this is a rotation that Astralis actually doesn't expect. So the situation now, you've got Ence in. They've got an Opper holding towards ramp. They've got a player on lower ramp making sure they hold towards lower. They've got Alexa B is actually staring down vents here. And you've got Sergey looking towards hut in the standard spot here, with Ariel still holding towards outer. So they've got a pretty good control of the map. But what you're going to notice when I switch over to Alexa B here is they're playing very aggressively, and they don't want to just play passively and, again, allow Astralis to do what they like to do. Alexa B smoked off Squeaky there and then started staring down Ben, making sure that he couldn't just come right back up with a couple flashes and try and execute outer on that one. And as that's happening, Ariel is somewhat aggressive here as well. He's still playing in big garage when someone already, had already gone towards lower, and that's something sometimes people are somewhat scared of, because that lower player could potentially have lurked out through secret and tried to, collapse on a guy big garage. But instead, Ariel's still playing this angle, and Astralis is just going to walk right in and give him 2 free kills. So they definitely weren't expecting that exact play, and there's so many things happening that it's hard to say at the right time. But Alexa B here, as soon as that contact was made at outer, he instantly pushed into Squeaky. Again, they're playing very aggressively. They're trying to catch Astralis doing the exact same thing that Astralis catches other people doing. They're catching them on the rotates. They're catching them in their weak spots, because there are always weak spots, and they're putting them in very awkward situations. And Alexa B is going to make that flank so fast that he finds the kill on Magisk there, making his way towards Secret. And at this point, the round's essentially over. 5v2, and the bomb's, down, and they know it's down. There's really no way for Astralis to find that victory. So now heading into round number 12, Ence has won quite a few rounds in a row here, and you're going to find more interesting play coming out here. So what's the situation here is that Astralis has thrown down their standard cross smoke towards Big Red. This is a smoke they throw almost every round. And Glaive is trying to go fast towards Secret to put pressure on Ence. This is something they haven't really done during the game. And so what they did is they threw the fast cross smoke, and they also tried to throw fast Secret smokes. But unfortunately, one of those smokes landed off. There's one here and one just off screen to the left here. So there's a huge gap that Alu can just look straight through, which makes it so that Glaive can't actually cross. However, a flash is going to come out, and Alu gets blind for just long enough that he's thinking that if timing was perfect, someone could have crossed. And this is the type of thing against Astralis, you have to assume timing is perfect, and that was intentional, which means Alexa B is going to be making his way towards lower, and the rotate that Astralis wanted to come out of Ence will come out of Ence. They'll make that player rotate into lower, and now what's the setup they have? They have a guy towards Hell, they have a guy towards under rafters here, one guy lower, one guy upper, and one guy ramp. So where's the weakness? The weakness is pretty obviously towards upper. It's going to be Sergey alone in upper as this execute comes out, and this is where you see another individual play coming out. Ariel's going to quickly, as soon as that smoke came down towards Mini, he recognized the strat that was being played by Astralis. They were running their upper take. He recognized that Sergey would be isolated and alone, and he tried to force through this smoke here as fast as possible. So he drops his own smoke here to the left, and he's going to be making his way out to the right and get the flank off here onto Zipex and Dupree. So he's going to be able to find both kills actually, and put his team in a situation where potentially they could actually win, because it would be a 3v3 if Alexa B hadn't just died at the same exact time. And now it's a 2v3, still winnable, but not the greatest situation ever. And Astralis will win this round, so they will pick up their third round. But you can see that Ariel, went down fighting. He saw what was happening quickly and made an individual play. And that's the type of things that, just strategic gameplay isn't going to take Astralis down. They also need this type of individual brilliance, and there's a reason that Ariel was the tournament MVP for this tournament. He had a great finals, especially on Nuke, and that's a good, a good aspect or a good portion of why Astralis got taken down here. So now we're going to head actually into the T side. So I think the CT side is the more interesting half on this map in this game. I think it had a more strategic backing, whereas on their T side, it's not quite as interesting to me. But in any case, I think it's still relevant, because Astralis does win pistol round, and they get into a situation where it's 11-7, and that's certainly a score Astralis has come back from in the past, and Ence really does kind of put the blasters on, and I believe they go up 15-7. They win 5 or 4 rounds in a row, drop 2 and win 2 more. So I mean, it's a fantastic T-half, and I'll show you exactly how that one works. So on their first round here, they're going to actually do what Astralis really loves to do. So they've got 4 players actually towards outer trying to throw smokes, but more relevantly, they've got Alu, who's going to jump on top of this box here with the smoke to the cross. So it's kind of conditioning your opponent to see that smoke and not necessarily expect that you've crossed towards red, and it's getting a read on your opponent, seeing if they're pushing up towards red in that situation, seeing what they're playing outer, seeing how they're playing it, and all this sort of thing. So Alu's going to get information here. He's going to be jumping around finding information. What you're going to see is that the smokes come out. That's what the other 3 players were back here for. The smokes come out for the cross, and I'm certain that Ence knows this, that Magisk very often, and when playing against Giants, he did this almost every round. When those 2 smokes come out, Magisk will come out towards heaven rafters and spam through the smoke, which means where's the opening? The opening is pretty transparently towards upper, where it's going to be Dupree alone, and he very often, from what I've seen, likes to play on the squeaky side when he's playing alone, although I don't think that's necessarily relevant to the strat that comes out. So Ence recognizes this. They throw the cross smokes and actually get Alu into lower to lurk, and Alexa B and Ariel are going to pop out Squeaky quickly and try and make an upper take happen. But what you're going to see there, I just wanted to highlight it from Dupree's perspective. There's a little bit of, people call it ring rust. You can call it whatever you want, but Astralis probably wasn't playing on top of their game this game, and I'm certain that actually played into this loss as well. I think Ence played a fantastic game with a lot of individual brilliance, but from what I've seen of Astralis, I'm not sure this is their peak Astralis gameplay. In any case, the upper execute comes out. Alu manages to find a kill in lower as X7 finds the player Magic's trying to take a make a YOLO play out heaven to try and even the round up. Doesn't work for him there. The round doesn't go their way. But in any case, the following round, they're still going to be able to buy up. And so Ence has to figure out, how are they going to shut it down in this one. And Ence is probably actually thinking that this might not be a comfortable buy up here for Astralis. Now, something Astralis really likes to do is after they've won a couple of rounds in a row, they like to do this sort of fast rush to keep the pace going and to make sure a lot of the time that their opponents are being honest with their utility. If Astralis is on an uncomfortable buy, if they don't have full utility, then this type of rush will have, or if they're lazy with their utility because they feel like a rush won't come out or can't come out, then this rush will pretty much automatically win. It's very easy to find the round win with this type of execute, and this is the exact type of execute that Astralis likes to run themselves. So having won a couple rounds in a row there for Ence, they're going to do the exact same thing Astralis likes to do. There's the nade out of the door, the fast squeaky push, and they're going to be able to find a couple of quick entries. Dupree's just full white, gets killed there. Magic's gets traded on, and this would be a 3v3, but Glaive just found a kill straight through the smoke. The smoke monster he is, and this turns it into a 2v3. So Alu's going to drop quickly in events because he realizes that there was two players mini, and the third player almost certainly isn't coming from lower. You can see from the way this plays out, Sergey is pretty confident that he's in lobby, and obviously he would be correct. And that's why you get a free bomb plant towards lower. And the way this plays out is actually very favorable to Ence, kind of just the way it happens. Alu's going to be able to find a kill before getting quickly traded off. And Sergey's just going to find both players out in the middle of the open. The bomb's actually not planted for him here. So if they manage to get to the bomb in the meantime, or someone was, not in the middle of the open, Sergey probably loses that round. And by probably, I mean almost definitely, because he doesn't have any nades to force them out. But a very solid play there from Astralis, or Ence rather, recognizing that there was two in mini and the other guy probably wasn't towards lower. That would be a bit ridiculous. So going for the free plant, once they got it, they had a flank off from Sergey trying to get, a first kill, and managed to win the 1v2 in the end there. So now I'm going to skip a couple rounds there, as Astralis actually ended up having to go, for a half buy. And I'm going to show you round number 22 is the final round I'm going to show you for this half. And this is where Ence starts to do, Astralis type plays. This is the type of thing you're starting to roll over your opponent, and so your opponent is likely to be switching things up. They're likely to be, bringing an op towards ramp or towards upper, or doubling something, trying to deal with their play. And Ence has really favored upper in this situation, so this outer play is likely because they're thinking Astralis might be doing a semi stack or a full stack towards upper, because we're executing on upper so often. So they try and mind game them a little bit with that one, and they put themselves in a situation where if nobody's outer, they just automatically win the round. So they're just going fast towards red, they're going to cross red, they're going to go fast towards lower with no smokes, no smoke to speak of, and they're actually going to somehow manage a trade there. Device found the first kill because he was actually somewhat cheating towards upper by playing hell, but not fully cheating. They had their player towards outer. He did find the kill, but Glaive on the peek out from Mini wasn't able to find the kill onto Ariel, which makes it a 4v4 now, and it gives Ence lower control. So again, Nuke's a lot about openings. When you have lower control, someone needs to rotate, and there will be a bit of an opening. But before any of that happens, Sergey tries to catch Magix, potentially rotating around. He's going to find the pick as he comes out, and the execute upper is going to come out very quickly. And they're just going to be able to find the two first entries. So they find the straight up gunfight against Magisk. Dupree's not able to get the kill onto Alexa B as he came in through upper, and Sergey's going to be able to find the kill on him as well. So again, individual play coming out from Ence, winning a few aim duels when it's when it's necessary, winning the aim duels, and that's really what gave them the game win. So as always, fantastic strategically from Ence. They really never let down on that front, and not as always necessarily, they had some monster performances coming out of some players that don't always have monster performances. So anyways, thanks for watching, and I hope this helped.